This week is the season finale of season 2. We're going to be taking a hiatus. It's a summer break. The network is demanding that we, that we shut it down for a minute. That's just how
they told us to go sit down somewhere.
Look, Cherie, and I'm sitting here saying, don't threaten me with a good time. Oh, boy. That was a jolt. If you hadn't had your morning coffee, you did just now. And so we're going to run that back in a minute. You wait till the room gets good and full. And so, I know some of you guys are like, yo, this is just too much. Great morning, everybody. Good to have you. Is it Nafas? I'm probably butchering your name. We're going to call you Nettie Boo. That's what we're going to call you. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Netnaphas. Nafas. Did I pronounce that right? I'm probably butchering it. Christine is trying to laugh at me, but not because she don't want to be disrespectful. I'm butchering your name, but I'm so glad that you pulled up. Grand Rising. Great morning. Dr. Pam is in the building. Great morning, Dr. Pam. And of course, Chris just pulled up. Thank you, sir, for pulling up and enjoying the ride. It's 7:03. Guys, do me a huge favor. Again, where are you tuning in from? Put it in the chat. Introduce yourself. We like that here. We actually talk to the people in the audience. If you ever go to those rooms, Rocky, where it's like the mods act like the audience isn't even there, that's not my kind of room.
Yeah.
That's not my kind of room.
I'm slowly drawing myself away from certain audiences for that reason, because it's supposed to be a community. I mean, some people see it as a podcast though too, Coach Glenn. So
true. And I was having lunch with my son yesterday, Rocky, and he's in town, been visiting. He'll be going back today. As a matter of fact, I got a dip early today, y'all. We're gonna go to the podcast early, but I'll give you guys some instructions around that. But we were talking, and he was like, Dad, wait a minute. You do a live podcast, but you are deploying it other places. I don't understand. How can you be doing it live at the same time? I said, well, no, it's recorded live, and then we repurpose it. But Rock, I'm always down for the live studio audience. Are you kidding me?
I like the interaction and
me too.
The animation behind it all.
The animation. Listen, if I was an actor, I would be a theater actor, as opposed to, I have to have an audience, like, or if we were shooting a movie, I'm like, can we invite the fans to be on set while we're shooting the movie? And the director's like, absolutely not. Why would we do that?
Speaking of audience, animated, Rocky, are you coming on TV today?
Ooh.
I am, but first I have to put on my eyebrows. So I'm working on that right now.
But first.
Oh, okay.
That's the animation part though, Rock. See, now we supposed to see all.
Help me. I can't do my makeup on camera. It's unprofessional. So therefore,
it's unprofessional.
I'm going to put my face on prior to putting the face on. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate that.
Why is Christine saying, I appreciate that?
Yes, because Glenn, you're flamingoing out.
I am. And then there's that. So let's go around the room.
But I was going to add to what Coach Glenn said, though, so bad.
Come on. Add to it, Flamingo. Add to it.
I was going to say, I'm the type of person that, like, and I did this in high school, and I got in trouble. I would act, but then I'd be like, right to the audience, and I got in so much trouble. Like, I would be acting in my role, still talking to the people in the audience.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, I used to get in big trouble for that.
Christine, can you imagine the kids at the recital? So Christine, for those that don't know, she's a whole dance studio owner. Been in this game for a really long time. You've been in the game a long time when you teach students who grow up to come back with their kids. Like, she's getting to that place. That I done went and got married, Miss Christine. Like, wait a minute.
I'm not getting there. I'm there.
I
have their children.
Student, you have the children of your original students, Christine.
I do. Yeah. Kind of sad.
Wow. Yeah. So can you imagine them interacting with the audience? Somebody said, that's my baby. And they turn around and say, I know that's right. That's my mama. Come out of character.
I do have some flamingos in my studio. So.
Oh, boy.
And they do that. While they're dancing.
Sure. While it is. Oh, my gosh. I'm getting that full picture, Sharia, that kid.
That would be our middle grandchild,
Child,
Miss Naomi.
listen. And then when you ask her, what are you doing? She said, I'm just being dramatic. I'm like, and she's going to tell you. How was your evening, Cherie? Come on, let's get this party started.
Good morning. Good morning, morning show. As you caught me getting ready to drink some coffee. I had a great evening. What did I do last night? We had a great couples MAPS. I keep saying couples. The MAPS Relationship Academy. We had a great session last night, preparing them. They're going to be doing a challenge over the next couple of weeks while we are going to be on sabbatical. And so, yeah, that was a good time. Yesterday was a busy day. I unpacked and repacked, Christine. Everything is within the limits now. So I still have 1.5 more bags to pack. So I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna fit the rest of the stuff in the 1.5 bag. But yeah. But I took some, and it wasn't even really my stuff, but I took some things out. Stop shaking your head, Glenn. It wasn't mine. It wasn't all mine.
Listen,
I like how you said
so,
that it wasn't really your stuff.
Right. Yeah.
It's always going to be Glenn.
You hear how she just very sneakily.
No,
Do you
it was stuff,
vacuum?
it was stuff for you. It was mainly toiletry stuff. So yeah, that was making it overweight.
But see, here's the thing though, y'all. I learned, and I didn't know this, that there are different weight requirements depending on how you fly, right? And so clearly didn't used to fly back. Well, it's been so long since I flew regularly, period. And then even then, you know, when you're working for a corporation or a company, when they're flying you, you know, they can afford to fly you first class, if you will, right? So you get a chance to experience that. However, when you having to pay for it out your pocket, you be counting them coins. Like, I'm not sure if I really want to pay that upgrade, right? So I didn't know that different ways that you fly requires or gets you, you know, different weight requirements. So she's packing for 50 pounds when I'm like, ain't the limit 70? We're at 65. That's okay. No, we too close to the line. It's too close. What if the scale is off? I'm like, oh, snap. I didn't even think about that. So, yeah, then there's that. Christine, how was your
You gotta
evening?
leave yourself some wiggle room.
Some wiggle room.
Their scales to be calibrated a little different. You can't take it all the way up to 70.
Listen.
I can tell you from my military background, it's embarrassing having to pull stuff up and throw stuff away in the line like that. I'm with Cherie. That's embarrassing.
She said, I can tell you. No, that is embarrassing, especially when the line is super long and they looking at you like, there's always one. And then you be like, you know what? You, sir or ma'am, need to shut up, mind your business.
I've had to do that. I'm not.
You're not embarrassed, Christine?
Not at all. Y'all just going to have to wait.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
Christine would say that.
I've had to throw away whole outfits.
Oh, no. We're not throwing clothes away.
I was so sad.
I just put them in somebody else's luggage.
Ooh, never thought about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the repack, remix. I love it. I love it. It's 7:10, 10 minutes after 7 o'clock. How are you guys doing? We got people representing all over the world. Chris is coming in live from NYC. What's the temperature in New York this morning, Chris? Put it in the chat. Let us know. Kim, I was just thinking about you yesterday. Kim Green is in the building, and she runs, we'll talk about it a little bit later, but she owns a company in Atlanta that sells licensed gear. I guess is probably how I should say it. Tuskegee Airmen apparel. Thank you very much, Christine, for the word. But licensed apparel from the Tuskegee Airmen, the Buffalo Soldiers, you know, the Negro League, Major League Baseball back in the day. And so she sent me a shirt years ago, a couple of years ago now. It really has been that long. And it was the right size, and I was already a size leaving that size. I'll just put it that way. So I haven't worn it yet because I need to lose some weight. But I thought about you yesterday, Kim. And in the midst of all of what we got happening, I owe you a call, and I can't wait to talk to you really soon. So it's good to have you in the room. Good morning, Grand Rising. Guys, where are you tuning in from? Do me a favor, put it in the chat. And what is the temperature? Let's bounce over to Christine. Did we do how your evening was? You did? Yes, we did you, and then we did Cherie.
No,
No, we did. Come on, Christine.
I've just
Let's
been
go.
talking all morning.
How was your evening? Yeah, I'm
I had
trying.
a
I'm trying to get.
I
I'm
see,
trying to
I
get myself
see. I'm trying
together.
to help you out, Coach. I had a great evening, Coach. Back in the studio again, of course. Last night was tap, and so I'm watching my tap instructor do what she does. She's an amazing instructor. She doesn't just teach the technique or choreography. She really goes in depth, and she was talking about emotions and how to emote, and she was breaking it down for these ladies, these young ladies, and they were getting it. Their facial expressions are everything. So it matters. You can have technique and choreography, but if your face is dead, the whole thing is dead. So I enjoy watching her because she loves what she does. And Coach, drum roll, brrr, I purchased a vending machine for my studio, which is pretty major because for the last 2 years we had another company come in and do it, and I got a percentage from it.
And you
And
get the whole
then
thing.
then Frank said, why not have your own and get all the profits? So yeah, it's pretty fly. So Christina, my youngest, and I, we spent yesterday afternoon loading it up and learn. And it's like one of those new ones that have the digital screen and it's got pictures on it and it's got video. Yeah, the kids are gonna love it, and so am I when they
So
keep
you,
putting their coins in there.
so you know, I gotta
Use a
ask
credit card.
Oh
that.
my gosh, yes. And these children have cards, debit cards, and all types of, yeah. They know how to tap and swipe and the whole nine. So
I love it.
ching ching, ching ching, all
Right,
summer long,
right.
all summer long.
That part. Hey, so you know, I got questions, Christine, real quick. The vendor that you had doing it, like, was it a contract situation? It was sort of the end of their contract. You just didn't renew it. Did you have to fire them? Are y'all in relationship? How did that go? Because you messing with people coins now, girl.
I sure did mess with their coins, but they were messing with me. So trying to help people out in our community, and they had a
Oh snap.
Cherie on
That's
her head.
code. That oh snap.
Yep. And so they were, trying to do their thing, and
They
had
weren't
them
the most professional.
not at all.
Let's
Thank you,
just say.
Cherie, because I wasn't going to say it that nice, but they were not professional at all. They would come in whenever they felt like it. The machine would be empty more than it was full. And I'm like, you're losing money. I've got these kids running in and out of here. They're like pulling cards out their mom's purses and what have you. And it was crazy. And I said, you know what? So I had to give them a 45-day notice. And I say, okay, May 19th, it has to be out. That's your 45-day notice because I have another machine. I'd already gotten the machine coming. And so I said, it's got to be out. And they, him and hawed and da, 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 da. I was like, nope, out, or I will get it out and it's going to be sitting in the back in the alley. So
Did she say out back in the alley?
yeah. So here's the thing. When you do business with me, you do business. Like I buy quality and I expect quality. And I don't ask for discounts and deals and things like that. So I expect what I want. So, but anyway, it's all mine now, and I get to take all the profit. 100%. I gotta add another zero.
Listen, I am not messing with you. Rocky, do you hear this madness?
Chris, all I hear is Christine. Is that another business where you teach people how to have their own vending machines? I'm just curious.
In their own studio.
Absolutely. Y'all, I said this last week based on Dr. Felix, rivers of income. Several rivers.
We're
of
not on
income.
streams no more.
No streams.
We're not
Streams
on
get blocked.
streams no
My
more.
rivers stay flowing.
Help me. Christine Psalms, I'm not messing with you. Rocky, I'm coming to you. We got Mike Kelly is on stage. We're going to get over to him in a second, make sure that his tech is tech. And listen, Cherie, I need you to do me a huge favor because I forgot to do this last night. I need you to share the link and the flyer, if you will, that you sent me. I need you to share that to Panama expats community, and I need you to share that in Charlotte Van Horn's community, because I know we're members of their community on Facebook. They need to know that their guy Mike is here, and I need to get that going. And the good news is, even if they don't catch it live, they'll get the replay, because the replays, dang it, they're off right now for Clubhouse, but they'll be on for the YouTube channel. So get them that link, please. Let's work on that and make sure. I did tag them on Instagram, so hopefully we'll get some people to pull up from that particular community. But Rocky, going back to you, Christine, your coach, your mompreneur coach is a whole vibe. How was your evening last night, lady?
It was very well. After running around, I was still running around my kids' last day of school, but I went and just had some margaritas last night and dinner with a friend. And as we're eating and drinking, I'm gonna put the reel up later. Coach, they had the robot that delivers the food. And I was sitting there looking at her. We were sitting there talking, and all of a sudden her eyes got really big. And I was like, what the heck? And I turned to the right. This robot kitten thing with trays rolls beside me. Like I almost punched this thing. It scared me. And it's like, hi, here's your food. Da 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 da. Table B10. And I was like, I geeked out. So I pulled my phone out. I was like, oh my God. And it looks like a little kitty cat face. It was just the most exciting thing ever. And I'm like, is that really here? Because when I was in Japan, I remember they had that technology. So I enjoyed that. Took like a million videos, almost followed it into the kitchen. And then I came home, had 2 client onboarding calls, and then I just relaxed. Speaking of emote, the game Fortnite, they do emotes. It's called an emote where they, do a little dance and stuff like that. It just reminded me when you said emote.
I love it.
For my gamers there.
I love it. So you guys had a whole robot talking to you, delivering you your food?
Yeah, I'm gonna put the reel up, Coach, so you can see it. It's a robot. It has big old eyes with a face. It looks like a cat because of how the top of his head looks. And he says, he greets you. He says thank you, all these things. Drops the food off and goes about his business.
Wow. And we thought that was just the Jetsons back in the day. Y'all remember that? Jetsons are here.
Rosie is here.
Jetsons.
Rosie,
that was her name. Rosie was a mess. She had a whole personality too. I'm telling you right now, Rocky, that's good. And I'm not missing out on John. I'm gonna set this up. You coming in next. Hey, Rocky, I didn't miss it when you said y'all had margaritas as in plural.
I had one. She had one, Coach. Duh. We both had one.
Yeah, we both had one. Yeah, it's the middle of the week, and it's also the last day of school. I'm not so sure that's entirely true.
Yesterday was the last day of school.
Let's get it. Grand Rising, everybody. Great morning. 7:19, 19 minutes after 7 o'clock. Welcome to the morning show. We're kind of getting a slow start, but I'm not mad about it. This is the season finale of season 2 for us. We've been on this application every day for the last 2.5 years, and we're starting to just be obedient to the network. We were kind of rogue, and we take breaks when we want to. But now we decided, you know what? Maybe it might be good to kind of fall in line and conform. So it's that time of the year where you're shutting down and getting reset for the fall season and all the things. And so we'll be back live in about 6 weeks. Make sure that you stay tuned to KBCN for all the replays. We're going to be doing the best of for the time that we're not here. So English, we will not be on Clubhouse live over the next 6 weeks, starting next week. And that will come to you because we're on a hiatus. But you can catch the best of our shows, some of the best stuff that we've done over the last 2.5 years by tuning into KBCN's YouTube channel. You can tune in and catch us on the Glenn P. Brooks Jr. YouTube channel and get your daily fix. So let's make sure that we do that. It's so good to have you on stage, John. I saw that you sent me some pictures and some things last night, bro. I've been caught up. I tried to call you. We've been playing tag, but tag, you're it, sir. Grand Rising, my friend. How was your evening last night?
Good morning. My Vietnam. Let me finish it for you this time.
Good morning, Vietnam. You stupid.
I guess Mike is not checking. He got to get back.
Yeah. He's working it out. He's working it out. Mike, you dipped out on Clubhouse, Mike. So you might want to go back and look at the fact that we don't have you on Clubhouse, just have you on KBCN right now. So we're coming to you after John. So
my evening. So I sent you some footage. Don't do nothing with it yet. I got some more today that I got to capture. But my evening yesterday was good. My evening was setting up today. So all the things, last little minute things. Today, June the 14th, is Jordan Maria Schultz's 17th birthday. So we were setting up last night. That's what we do. So more videos, stuff going to come. I have to send it to my editor, Glenn P. Brooks.
You stupid. You stupid.
I gotta
I
send
am
you.
not your editor, sir.
So I gotta send you the other 2 pieces so you can make that whole thing, and then we'll present it when you get done. But hopefully, be by the end of the week. But that's what we're doing.
Wow. You see him sneaky, even getting in the deadlines there, Christine. This is terrible. First of all, I just got hired as an editor, of which I have not seen a contract for. Secondly, I have just gotten a job of which I haven't seen the layout for, and now I got a deadline. This joker right here.
Yeah. So it's an exciting day. We're doing a little photo shoot with her at 10:30, and then going to take her friends. This is her friends' day today. We're going to take them to Six Flags. I'm dropping them off. Hear the words. I'm dropping them jokers off, and then they'll come back. I'll get them at the end of the day, 8:00. Then they want to end it at Five Guys for the Friends Day. That's part 1, and then the rest of the stuff. My oldest daughter's birthday is June the 17th, this Saturday. So I got Gemini's in the house. That's what we doing, man. It's good, man. This is a good season finale week. Jumped on the phone and talked with Dominique yesterday, man, because his statements and value resonated with me so strong. So I kind of shot up with him for a minute. But yeah, this is good. This is a good week. Christine over there making that vending machine money. Like I told you, Christine, that the kids who got the most money is that age group you got with discretionary funds. That's a no-brainer. You're going to take a whole vacation on quarters and dollars. I promise you. Because I've done it.
It's a whole vacation on quarters and dollars for me, John.
And that thing is so real. So, I got the ice cream. Ice cream. I know it's frozen ice, but it's easier for people to ice cream before. What is shaved ice anyway? So we're in the ice cream frozen dessert business, and of course, when you're at the schools, kids save up, and they just love giving their quarters, and I love taking them. And so the quarters and dimes and all that, we don't do anything with them. They go straight into another account, and somewhere around November, we go look at it and we say, "Oh my God, oh my God." And then we take half of that and whatever half that is, and then we use that for vacation. So past 5 years, we've been the great children of Georgia have paid for our vacation. So
I ain't mad. I ain't mad at that.
Yeah.
I ain't mad at that, John. No, and John, look, y'all ain't taking it to the place in jars. Is that the case? I heard you say that there's an account that it goes to.
No, so we still transport it the traditional way. We have a coin bucket, and one of the banks that we bank with have a coin counter that is no fee. Give you no fee. You could drop $2.50 a day without any fees or percentages, and so that's what we do. We dump it up to $2.49. Look, Coach, we dump it up to $2.49. And then take the little slip and you deposit in your account. Yep.
Man, y'all doing the most over there, John. I love it. The great kids of Georgia are sending Kona Ice owners on vacation. I love it. I absolutely love it. Another thing that I love is that my guy Mike Kelly is on stage today. And he is sitting here patiently listening to all this madness. This isn't his first time in the room. I might say it is his first time on TV. For those of you guys who are not watching us by way of KBC and TV, I need you to tune in, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn. Make sure y'all share this out. Let people know that we're here. This is our guy. We met Mike online 2.5 years ago, and I'm going to get into it because he's here, because we're going to talk about the story behind his brand. His entrepreneur journey, y'all, is gangster. Let me just say that. Mike is a low-key, Mike is a gangster. If you look at him, he even looks like somebody from Jersey that might have some storyline on you, might have a little something on you. And so therefore you're kind of like really, really feeling like you should do business with him. Nah. He looks like a wise guy, but Mike's a surfer, dude. And I'm telling you, Mike, unmute yourself on Clubhouse or where you there, and just let us know, man. How was your evening, sir? It's great to have you on stage.
Hey, Glenn. Good morning.
Going, you're still muted on Clubhouse, Mike. So unmute
All right.
for your Clubhouse device, whatever device you're on for Clubhouse. Unmute that little button at the bottom right. There you go.
Am I coming in?
You are, and what I want you to do is mute your computer.
You got it.
Yeah, mute your computer.
How we doing?
Oh man, his tech is teching. We doing good, sir.
All right.
How-
I think they're set.
How was your evening, man?
My evening was great, man. No, it just it was. We actually went to rooftop in Casco Viejo and had some tacos. Yeah, it was little Taco Tuesday in Casco Viejo was amazing.
Which rooftop, Mike? Which rooftop?
Selena. So you guys went to Tantalo when we went, but there's a hotel called Selena, and they have a rooftop with a bar and then a Mexican food restaurant. But basically, just tacos. Of course, you had Taco Tuesday, and we had to go and do that. The tacos are amazing. But the best part about it is you're looking out over the city skyline while you're drinking your beer and eating your fish tacos. So that's hard to beat,
Hey, Mike, I'm literally, for those that want to know what that view looks like, hold tight real quick.
Yeah. I
need you to PTR on Clubhouse. If you take your screen, pull it down and let it go, it's called pull to refresh. I want you to do that right now. And I want you to see a view of the rooftop that he was talking about that we were on. And that's the view of that rooftop while we was enjoying a couple of drinks and some great food. And we were hanging out with Mike that night. Mike.
Oh man, that was fun,
brother.
That was fun. Yeah. You guys know, I mean, I love going out in that area. I mean, we go out to dinner, we usually go to Casco Viejo. It's like the old town. There's so much to do there. It's awesome.
I love it. Well, man, listen, I'm grateful that you made it. We're going to make room for you. I want you to hang out and just jump in where you fit in. And this week, we don't really have an agenda. It's the season finale. But what I do want to do is pick up a conversation that we kind of started yesterday, guys. And the conversation around just this idea of, and I forgot what we were talking about just that fast. It went right out of my mind just that fast, Christine. Cherie, help me out. What were we talking? What was the title? It literally just went right out of my mind.
It is, and it's going to be something.
That's what it was. Embracing what was, accepting what is, and leaning into what will be. That's what we were talking about. Like, what does that look like in your life? You know what I mean? Sometimes you're in a situation where these relationships have run their course, or maybe it's a relationship with an employer. It's run its course. But because of the life that you experienced while doing it, man, you were like, yo, I don't know if I want to let this go. So it's tough for you to embrace what your now is different. So I'd like to definitely kind of talk through that a little bit as we are figuring it out on KBCN. Trying to get everything worked out. In the meantime, while we do that, Mike, let me ask you this question before we even get into that, bro. For those people who are here now, we're going to talk about this in about 15, 20 minutes. We're going to go live on our podcast interview with you. But can you tell people a very quick, brief story of how you got to Panama? You are not Panamanian, but you got to Panama in a really interesting way. Come on, talk to us about that.
Man, it's hard to keep that one brief, but it goes back quite a bit. I mean, I would have to go back to, when I was right out of high school, 19, I moved to Costa Rica for a year. And, that really kind of opened my eyes to like, okay, there's more to the world than, where I am right now in the US. And, as that was through a school program that I did, and I learned Spanish. And so when I got back to the US, you know, in my mind, I was always thinking like, how can I get back to Costa Rica? So that was like my mindset was, you know, getting back there. At that time, I didn't really know anything about Panama. You know, Panama to me was when I was in Costa Rica, I was, you know, I knew Panama was down there. It was just south of Costa Rica. I knew there was a canal there. I really, at that time of my life, I didn't know much about Panama. But I've always been an entrepreneur, always like just looking for opportunities, you know. So my mindset was, okay, what kind of business could I do that would allow me to, you know, live in Costa Rica and work and have my own business. And so, you know, with that mindset, I was, you know, always kind of, looking around, you know, trying to find the right opportunity to get back down there. But, you know, went back to, you know, was going to school and doing that whole thing. And, you know, you kind of, you know, things that you want to do like that, you kind of lose track of. But I still had it in the back of my mind. And so a couple years later, when I was in San Diego, I was going to school in San Diego, I met my wife, who's Panamanian. So she moved from Panama to San Diego to go for college. And when we met there, you know, we really, you know, that's another long story in itself. But, you know, we really hit it off. And, you know, when I met her and she told me she was from Panama, you know, I remember just thinking, well, you know, Panama is pretty close to Costa Rica. I can do Panama. I think, you know, I think that's kind of that'll work. And so, you know, she brought me to Panama to, you know, meet her family and see, you know, just didn't take me around. And I mean, I instantly fell in love with Panama. And, you know, so it was kind of then where I was like, you know, my time in Costa Rica really, that set me on this journey to get to Panama. And so that was back in 2004. So the time, that's kind of the timeline. So 2004, 2005. And so we started to come to Panama, you know, every year for, you know, a couple times a year, you know. And so I really got to know the country, started to travel around. So I had been everywhere. I grew up surfing. So, you know, we were always going to the beaches and surfing and all of that. But, you know, as the years went on, you know, I wanted to move to Panama, you know, so I was really setting my mind, okay, like I want to, you know, really didn't want to stay in California. I, you know, had always wanted to move down there. And so we started, you know, my mind starts going, okay, what are the opportunities? How can we make this happen? You know? And, you know, it just, you know, I mean, I was always thinking about things like that. I mean, in California, when they were thinking about, you know, when a lot of people were worrying about, you know, earthquakes and tsunamis and things like that, like I was going door to door selling emergency kits, you know. So I'm always like, okay, where are the opportunities here? And then, you know, as time moves on, you know, I started doing commercial insurance and you know, started kind of finding my niche there. And I ended up getting hired by a big insurance company here in Panama. That was back in 2012. So, you know, through some friends here that got me introduced to the managers of this company, you know, I was able to come down and interview with the company and I got hired. It was, you know, it was actually an amazing opportunity, you know, and you know, I remember back in those times, I was like, I was coming down here. I found myself sitting in the office of this manager at this insurance company in Panama. I was like, is this really happening? Like, you know, I mean, this it didn't seem real, right? Wow. And in Spanish, everything in Spanish.
Right.
So, you know, I ended up getting that job, got hired. And
Wow.
that was it. You know, I wasn't going to move down here without something like that, something secure, you know?
Yeah.
And so we moved, you know, we packed our bags. Our daughter had just been born, you know, and there was this great opportunity. So we moved to Panama and I had about a month to get myself situated, get my visa before I started working at this company. And when I got here, a friend of mine that I had known in the United States, he was a healthcare executive for 35 plus years, had been looking at opportunities in medical tourism in Panama. And up until then, I had not been involved in anything medical and healthcare. That wasn't my world at the time. And so when he was here, we just coincided. So he when I moved down here, he happened to be here doing that. And we hooked up, and he, you know, I basically started introducing him to certain people that we could talk to. And he was like, Mike, why don't you just come with me to some of these meetings? I'm meeting these big real estate guys, these developers. You know, why don't you just come and you know, get a feel for this? You know, if it happens, great. If not, then you know, you'll learn something from it. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. You know, so he starts taking me to these meetings he's doing with these big real estate developers and everything. And you know, this opportunity it just came up, right? We were at this one development, and they happened to have a medical clinic that had closed, and they were looking for an operator to open this clinic. There was a big opportunity in occupational health care there. So, you know, it was just kind of like, you know, the stars aligned, right? And so we had this opportunity, and he said, Mike, like, we're going to do this, you know, I want you to be my partner. But, you know, you have to decide, because I'm going to need you. You have your feet on the ground. And, you know, I was like, well, I just got hired. I mean, I'm on this waiting period. I'm supposed to start in weeks, you know? And so anyways, we did it.
I love it.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there like, I already have a secure job. Like, why would I even consider something like this? Like, you know, probably
Because you're an
not.
entrepreneur.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I at first I was like, yeah, you know, because I'm thinking in my head, like, okay, Stephanie, my wife, like, you know, she'd kill me if I did this, you know, like, to put the secure job, you know, set that aside and do something like this. But, you know, that part of me was like, no, this opportunity, like, I have to explore this. So I spent the next 3 weeks, which was the time that the company, you know, that I was supposed to be getting my stuff together to work at this other job. Just doing due diligence and working on our business plan, and, you know, doing everything we had to do to see if it was even viable. And so during that time, I was just talking to people and, you know, setting up meetings with companies in the area to see what health services they needed for their employees, and just basically like doing like market research, and just like fast forward doing it as fast as I could, because I'm like, okay, if this is something I have to find out now. And so at the end of the 3 weeks, we had this plan and this budget, this pro forma budget, and everything looked great. And so I was like, well, I mean, this is definitely going to work. Like, on paper, this is like an amazing opportunity. So I can either go for it, jump into it, or not, and just do, you know, my thing. But of course, at the end, you know, I couldn't help myself. And
Hey, Mike, I got to jump in. Mike, did y'all hear him say, at the end of the day, he just couldn't help himself? Is that some entrepreneur disease or what? Put me in the chat. Mike, real quick, I'm going to jump in and I'm going to break the story up, because we're going to continue it in a formal way for the podcast. But I needed y'all to understand, and here's what we're going to talk about on the podcast today, y'all. We're going to talk about mindset. Mike, I am not lost on the fact that it took you to be in a certain mental space to even go down the road of making that kind of realistic shift. And I'd like to unpack what puts you in that mental space, because in this room right now, we got a bunch of people who, quite frankly, in one way or another, they're living vicariously through someone. There's someone that they see on a regular basis that's doing the thing that they want to do. Am I lying, y'all? Put me in the chat. Put me in the chat. If that's you, you are sitting where you sit, whether it's on your 9 to 5, you may already be in business. You may be aspiring to be a writer, whatever the thing that you're looking to do. You are sitting and you are absolutely enamored by people who are doing what you see in your head. If that's you, put me in the chat. And the reason why I want you to speak to the mic, because there's a space, and we talked about this yesterday, you and I. There's a space of, like, I see it in my head, and then moving into it, so it's a part of my real life experience, my reality. So I want to talk about that mindset in a little bit. Before we go there, I want to reset for all of you guys that just pulled up. Grand Rising. Great morning. Good to have everybody in the room. Let me reset really quickly. A couple of programming notes. I'm going to have to dip out early. I got a hard stop at 8 o'clock for myself. So I'm going to pull up, and let's go ahead and KBCN, let's make sure that the recordings are running okay. I just wanted Mike to get all that out a little bit to kind of get his tech worked out. But I want to pose this question to everybody, and I'd like to be able to unpack this really quickly before we go to the interview. Mindset. For an entrepreneur, what kind of mindset is absolutely critical for you to have in order for you to have some success? Put it in the chat. What kind of mindset, what kind of space must you be in mentally to make a really good run at this? Let's unpack that a little bit. If you got something you want to share on that, clip it up here on stage. Gardy, I see that you done pulled up, excited. You right now, I think, and you'll chime in, but I think you're in Cincinnati, or you're certainly in Ohio. You recently moved from New York, your home, to Ohio in order to pursue a dream that you were already doing. There's a mindset that's in your head, Gardy. That ain't normal. What Cherie and I are getting ready to embark upon in 14 days and a wake up is not normal. We are moving to Panama permanently. My prediction. That's not normal. What creeped into our mind? What mindset must you have to make that adjustment in real life? I want to unpack that, and then we're going to tee Mike up for this morning's We All Need Some Help Wednesday, the podcast. And we're going to unpack some of his mindset in terms of being able to make that kind of a shift. Let's go. All right, mods, let's go. Anybody want to chime in on that real quick? 30 seconds or less. Let's do a rapid fire really quickly, and I chime in on what kind of mindset must you have in order to make that shift? How does that look in your life? Anybody? Come on, let's talk.
I'll start. We need to have a no limit growth mindset.
I love it. I love it, Christine. She said a no limit growth mindset. When you say no limit, what are you talking about, Christine? Break that down for me. Unpack that.
Okay. I thought we had that much time.
No, I got you. Come on.
So a no limit mindset means that you have taken all the expectations off of you and all the expectations off of your destiny. If you put expectations on your destiny, that means you are limiting yourself to what you think can happen. You all going to Panama, if you put expectations on that experience, then you're going to limit what can actually happen for you that can be greater and beyond. I think about Mike and going to Panama, and just if he had limited himself, you had limited yourself, it would have been, I can only do this much. I'm only going to stay for this long because society says I should stay here in the States and get a 9-to-5 and keep going and do what I'm doing. But taking those limits off means that there are no expectations. What happens, happens, and it's going to be for the better. I'll yield.
I love it. I love it. Anybody else want to chime in on that? Clip it up. Come on, Gardy, talk to me.
Hey, what's up, guys? Great morning. Great morning. I think for me, after being here now, you have to have the type of mindset that I'm willing to do whatever it takes.
I love that, Gardy.
That's the kind of mindset that's needed. I know I've been away from a bit. My schedule changed up like crazy. And some of the stuff I've done in the last maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks, I don't think I would have ever done if I was never here on the ground. So I'm learning a lot, man. And every day is pushing me out of my comfort zone. But we're doing extremely well.
I love it, Gardy. I love it. Let's keep that energy going. Come on, Rocky.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a mindset of resiliency, because the growth mindset is there, but once you get there, things may not always go on path or, the way you wanted to, and you always have to shift until you're comfortable and set. So I would say you'd have to have deep resiliency.
I love it. I love it. Let's keep that same energy. Cherie, where you at?
Yeah, and I would say it's a little bit more than a mindset. It's having faith, truly believing in the impossible, believing that you can do what it is that you set out to do, and believing that, you've been destined to do it, and just going for it. And I think a lot of people, they allow their fears, they allow other people's fears to stop them from doing things that are unfamiliar. And that's the main reason people don't jump out and try things. A lot of times it's because nobody around them has done it. And so they don't want to be the first because all the naysayers. And I think it's just believing. And if you believe it, I hate to be quirky, but if you believe it, you can achieve it. But it's true. If you truly believe in something and you have faith that it can happen, and you have faith that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, what's the worst thing that can happen?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. Guys, it's 7:47. I want to keep the same energy as we transition into this morning's podcast recording. Now, mods, this is what I need from y'all. As you guys get settled, I'm going to dip hard in about 15 minutes or so. I want y'all to keep this conversation going, and I'll rejoin you when I get in the car. I got to go pick Justin up and take him to the train. But I'm excited. Growth, resilience, a mindset. Mr. Herlin said, faith, focus, and the Lord's favor. I absolutely calculated risk taking is what Nona said. With that being said, I'm just more than excited to have, and let's just go ahead and start making the transitions to the podcast, guys, on KBC and TV. Make sure that everybody stays muted up, because if you unmute, obviously we're going to have to go back and edit that out. But I want to go ahead and get started. I had the absolute pleasure of meeting this person online 2.5 years ago. And I was both my wife and I were pleasantly surprised to meet Mike Kelly in real life a few months ago. And when we went to Panama, and today on our podcast, we're going to unpack sort of that story and how that relates to your mindset. With that being said, let's get ready to go in 3, 2, 1. Well, it's good to have everybody back for this edition of We All Need Some Help Wednesday, the podcast. I'm Glenn P. Brooks Jr., and I'm crazy excited about today. We're going to jump right into it. In a blog post on HuffPost.com, contributing writer Flynn Coleman asks this question. The question is, why are stories so powerful? The answer to that is it's because they're more memorable than facts. Our brains are actually wired to respond to stories. Metaphors and anecdotes help us to relate our ideas to our own experiences, providing richness and texture. Stories actually bring you and your listeners into a multidimensional world full of colors, sights, smells, and emotions, making us feel as though we were actually living the story. With that being said, I'm ridiculously excited to have my new friend. So glad that I don't subscribe to my guy, DJ Khaled, to my dude, Drake. You know, they on some no new friends. I ain't on that. I don't know where that comes from. I think they need therapy in that regard. I'm grateful that I don't subscribe to that, because if that was the case, I would never have met my guy, Mike Kelly. Mike, you're an amazing human being, bro. And I know you're humble and you don't like to talk a lot about yourself, but this podcast is about the story behind your brand. If you can really quickly introduce yourself and tell people a little bit about who you are, what you do, why do you do it, and more importantly, who do you do it for, and how has the way you grew up, the things you were exposed to, how has that shaped how you do business today? Come on, talk to me. You have to unmute over on Clubhouse, Mike. Y'all gonna have to go ahead and edit that part out. Go ahead, he's getting it worked out. All right, here we go, Mike. Go ahead and unmute. As soon as you do, we'll be able to hear you.
How's that?
There we go.
Okay.
All right, let me repose that for you, and just stay close to that mute button, so that you can be right there. Here we go in 3, 2, 1. So, Mike, can you unpack that for us today?
Absolutely, Glenn. Thank you so much. It's great to be here with you, man. I'm really looking forward to you guys and the big move and having you down here. But yeah, you know, my company, I have a healthcare company and a relocation company here in Panama, Expat Health Services, which, you know, I've been in healthcare here for about 10 years. So, you know, I moved here back in 2012. And, you know, as an entrepreneur, I, you know, was looking for opportunities, and I was able to, you know, fortunately have the right situation to start this healthcare business. And it's, you know, we had talked about it earlier, Glenn. You know, I told the story of how like that all came to be, but, you know, like any business, you have your ups and downs, and we've had a lot of good times and a lot of lows, you know, a lot of hard times, you know, especially with the pandemic. So, you know, it's just been a crazy road, you know, but it's, you know, we've been able to kind of weather the storms, and about resiliency, like, you know, always keeping your head up and keep going, you know, even when there are challenges, you know. So, you know, yeah, that's been one of the most important things. But, you know, it's, you know, for me, you know, my wife's from Panama, and you know, I've just, you know, I've fallen in love with this country. I mean, it's, you know, it's home for me. You know, I definitely don't have any intention of moving back to the U.S. and you know, in the relocation space that I'm in, helping people, you know, get ready to move down here to Panama. You know, I've met a lot of people that have done it, you know, and it's always like, okay, you know, you come down here, you get your feet on the ground, you see what it's like, and then it's like, okay, you either move or you don't. You know, you got to get your headspace so that you take that leap and get out of your comfort zone. And you guys know exactly what that's like, you know, because most people can't believe, like, Panama, like, you're going to do that, you know. So and unless you come down here and get your feet on the ground and see what it's like, you don't understand, you know, what Panama has to offer, you know. And
Mike,
so
I want to jump in right there, Mike, because I think that I want to speak to mindset for a second. When you're talking about as an entrepreneur, we were talking about this earlier, how there's certain mindsets you absolutely have to embrace in order to achieve success. And there's all kinds of ups and downs, highs and lows on this journey. That also happens in real life in terms of relationally. When it comes to moving from the US to Panama, you've done that. And it's not only because your wife is Panamanian. And I need people to understand this thing that you had in you was in you before you met your wife.
Yeah.
So it just so happened that was a kind of a special extra, if you will. That was kind of like extra on the top. Your mindset, bro, where does it come from? Being able to make that adjustment, and why is that so necessary in business and in our personal lives?
Yeah, it's just you know, for me, it's constantly you know, looking for good opportunities, but being able to adapt to different situations. You know, I've always been in that way, always kind of like looking to move forward, looking at different things that other people aren't seeing. And like we talked about, you know, my journey to Panama, my trajectory, you know, actually was, you know, well before I met my wife and knew anything about Panama. I lived in Costa Rica, and that's what set my mindset on really like Latin America and the life here. But also finding opportunities, and you know, it was kind of like, you know, just you know, meant to be, I guess, you know, because, you know, just the way things worked out. But the mindset really is like being able to adapt, you know, keeping an open mind, being resilient, you know, don't let the challenges knock you down. I mean, as an entrepreneur, Glenn, and you know, like, you have to be willing to, you know, get up, dust yourself off, and keep going. And if you can't, then, you know, a lot of people that think about moving to Panama, talking about that, you know, a lot of people will come down here and they realize, well, you know, they see that it's not exactly like things are in the US. There are certain things that are a little bit more challenging. Things are different, right? Things are not the same as they are in the US. You have to learn to like adapt. And a lot of people kind of hit some challenges and they say, nah, that's not for me, you know? And that's going to happen. You know, you're going to be here and, you know, you're going to have situations where you're like, hey, but, you know, this isn't, you know, I'm not sure how this is, but, you know, you keep going, you know, and all of a sudden you're like, you know, this is such a great life. The quality of life is amazing, you know, so you just got to keep that, mindset, man. It's just move forward, adapt, you know, face the challenges head on. I mean, you know, I've had so many, I mean, being in business here, the thing is that I moved here and there was no, you know, the whole concept of like relocation, and that didn't exist 11 years ago. You know, I didn't have a guide to look at. So I was doing everything trial and error. I was, you know, I was, you know, I came down here and I was like, okay, now I got to get my visa, you know, and I got to find an attorney, and I didn't, you know, so it was a lot of trial and error, you know, making mistakes that could have been avoided. And I'm in a position now where I can like tell you like, yeah, don't do that. I did that. And it added like 2 years to the process of getting my visa, you know? So it's,
hey, Mike, you know, it's funny. I want to kind of piggyback on something you just said. For those of you guys who are just pulling up, I'm Glenn P. Brooks Jr. Welcome to We All Need Some Help Wednesday, the podcast. We're going to do something a little unique and a little different. I am pressed for time as we're recording this live, but I want to continue this conversation in podcast form. And in the spirit of entrepreneurship, making the adjustment, I'm going to invite my wife to come to the stage and literally pick this conversation up in midstream during the podcast. We've never done that. We're close to 80. By the time this episode drops, we'll be over 100 episodes in, I'm sure. And but I want to do this, Cherie, partly for two reasons. One, I need people to understand what shifting looks like. There was a time, Mike, that I could not embrace this moment and the next in the same space. In other words, I'd become so tunnel visioned that I could not see peripherally and down the tunnel simultaneously. So invariably, I'm going to crash. Yeah. And I think that entrepreneurship is really about embodying or embracing the idea that everything isn't going to go your way, or there are going to be adjustments. The question is not if, but when. I'm going to ask this question, and I'll have Cherie kind of field it on the back end. But let's get into the nuts and bolts, and let's talk about how we overcome. I just gave an example of me having to make an adjustment in midstream of a podcast that's hosted by me, but is not going to get finished by me. My mindset comes from the fact that I'm going in, I already know that we're going to have challenges because we're in a live environment. Things happen. I've worked on getting myself to a place where I can make those adjustments. What kind of work do you do to build that mindset muscle? What are some things? And I don't know, is it that you put yourself in positions where you have to make those adjustments? Is it material that you're reading? Is it your community that you're in? Like, what kinds of things are you doing other than flying by the, because it's not as, flying by the seat of the pants as it looks. There are some things that you're doing on a daily basis. Maybe it's your routine. Maybe it's what you eat. Maybe it's how you move. Maybe it's the conversations that you have with yourself. Maybe it's affirmation. I don't know what the thing is, but for you, what keeps you in a place where you can be fluid and you can build that mindset muscle? Cherie, I know you picking up what I'm putting down. Y'all be good. My wife is going to pick this up and we'll join you on the other side. Here's what I am super excited about. As we're recording this, we are 14 days in a wake up from permanently moving to Panama. Cherie, I want you to get into the fact that Mike is on the search for a place for us. I want you to get into the fact that he is the guru when it comes to healthcare. Let's take our time with this one. And as long as people will hang in, let them be in. And I'm going to go listen from the car because I got to roll. Y'all be good. But Mike, does that make sense? Talk to us about the building of your mindset muscle. Let's get it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, Cherie.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Glad to be here.
So as Glenn was asking you, when it comes to the adaptability, what are the things that you do to be able to adapt to the changes that happen, to the inevitable things that, are going to happen, whether it's in business or even in relocating?
I think it's something, for example, in business, running my business, something that I hadn't done, and just jumping in. I opened a medical center, and I started it from the ground up, where I was hiring medical staff, and getting the clinic, getting all the equipment that we needed. I mean, when you jump into something like that, like you guys are doing by moving to Panama, and like what I did in business here, so many things are going to pop up that you don't anticipate. And so when you're constantly dealing with with things like that and having to figure things out and adapt, in overcoming challenges, it really does fine tune that muscle in your brain, right? Like, okay, so, you're adapting, you're figuring things out, you're problem solving. And then as time goes on, you get used to that. And then that serves you in different areas of your life. You're not just in business, So, I think, over time, that's really helped me, is just having to adapt and overcome challenges, and keep the business moving forward. I listen to a lot of people too that for inspiration. It's not just me. I mean, I try to read, and follow the advice of people that I trust for one reason or another. In business, there's a lot of people that are successful in business. So my father-in-law is a good example. He is actually he's been living here in Panama for 40 plus years, but he's actually from Peru. And his story, it's a long story, but it's super interesting. I'm not going to tell it here, but that would be for another interview. But he is an entrepreneur, self-made, and moved his way from Peru to Panama and started from nothing. So I love the self-made stories. People that started at the bottom and worked their way up. So that's kind of what I take as inspiration to help me. Especially situations where I'm feeling pretty like things are dire. I've been in situations where I've just been, very worried about how things are going to pan out. And I think, I can't think of an entrepreneur that can't say the same thing. It takes a long time. It takes a long time to get to a point and in a business where things actually start to like feel like it's working out, like it was all worth it. There are years go by where you're just like, why am I doing this?
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good, Mike. And that's what I was gonna say. I think that oftentimes people will look at even what we're doing. It seems so foreign to people, but especially if you're an entrepreneur, if you're in business, you've done this. It's just a different mechanism what we're doing, because you've started something unknown and you've dealt with challenges. And so when you come up against those challenges, just like in your business, so let's take this off of us moving, off relocation. In business, period, when you come up against challenges, you have to figure out a workaround. You have to have a strategy. And I think, what are some strategies that you've implemented? And I know with the health services, you started that from scratch. That's not something you had ever done before. But going into that, from the things you had done in the past, what were some strategies that you had that, okay, even when I come up against this, I kind of already, I don't know the plan completely, but I know I can go here, I can go in this direction. What were some things strategically, whether it was getting information from your father-in-law or whatever, what were some things strategically, practically that you did or utilized to help you overcome some of those challenges?
Well, I think, an example that I could use during the pandemic, and we are where our medical center is. We serve a lot of the companies that are in this area, which is Panama Pacifico. So what happened in the pandemic? Everyone started working from home. So now, like a huge, a lot of the people that were coming in and using our services, now they weren't. Because no one was in the area. And so, trying to see, okay, we don't know what's happening with COVID, but this how for a long time. So how can we adapt to this? So I was thinking, okay, how can we do a pivot right now and keep this business going, And so, of course, all of a sudden there's a mandate to travel to the United States or anywhere in the world, and people are needing COVID tests, So, the first thing is, okay, we need to be the number one clinic and healthcare provider if you need a COVID test. So I started to just talk about that in a lot of in some of the expat groups, and one of the places where we've been able to get a lot of good references and a lot of traction are in the expat Facebook groups. And so I started talking about this, that we do this, and then so people would contact me, and then they would have a good experience, everything worked out. And then they would refer me to someone else. And so that actually created this momentum that carried us through the time when our clinic was basically shut down because no one was around. So, it's just the strategy on that is, okay, this is what is happening. This is the that we have. So what are the benefits we have right now to overcome this challenge? And that's just one example, but it's pretty relevant, just because I think we're still kind of, in this, time when a lot of people are still reeling from COVID and businesses are still affected, and we still are as well, but that was that we did in order to kind of get through that. So yeah, it's just looking for the low hanging fruit in a lot of cases, like what's in front of our face right now, that we can do that's going to help people. At the end of the day, with healthcare, it's a people business. It's about helping people. And everything that we do has to help people, because that's, if not, and especially here, people are looking for healthcare that's personalized, that's doctors that actually sit down and talk to you and pay attention to you. Well, in the United States, that's a big issue. People, you sit down with a doctor, it's like you're just a number. You're in and out 5-10 minutes. So we try to keep that personalized attention. So yeah, I mean, it's that's kind of the mindset that I've had, and I get that. Like I said, I listen to a lot of business and entrepreneurs that I like and that have been successful. I try to tap into people that have been there, done that have gone through hard times. For me, like, I love hearing a good, like, a challenge of an entrepreneur that overcame it in his business and then went on. That for me is like, that feeds that drive, because if you don't have that, it's like you just give up, because it's like, why am I hitting my head against the wall for this? And then you see the light at the end of the tunnel.
That's good, Mike. And I love that ingenuity. And just like, you with the pandemic, we all went through the same thing here. You had to think outside of the box. You had to come up with something new in order to keep your business going. And I wanted you to touch on one thing real quick. You talked about the people part of your business. And that's one of the things that I loved about Panama. When it came to healthcare there, tell the people what the difference are when you talk about the people part of healthcare in Panama, particularly with your services. Give them a taste of what that really looks like compared to what we get here in the States.
Yeah, it's one of the things that we try to really focus on is the personal attention. In the United States right now, getting good attention is so hard. You've got these insurance companies that are, I mean, everything seems to be, it's like you go to see your doctor, and he's looking at the computer screen the whole time. You're in and out. And, your number, he has to get a certain amount of patients. Here we don't have that restraint. Doctors aren't restrained by an insurance company that needs them to see a certain amount of patients. What does that mean? Your doctor will sit down with you, get to know you. It really is an amazing experience here in Panama when you can sit down with a doctor and feel like they care about you as a person, and not just a number. And the doctors here, they're really good. The primary care physicians are on par or even better than a lot of the general practitioners in the United States, as far as not only just training, but of course, like interaction with their patients. And that's another misconception a lot of people have, or just not knowing, is if I go to Panama, can I get, what's the healthcare going to be like? Is it's a legitimate worry, because if you're moving and you have healthcare issues, you want to make sure that you're going somewhere where you can have that addressed. And so here in Panama, you definitely can. And what we do is we get you set up with all of that before you even move. So if you're in the process of moving to Panama, you're thinking about moving here, you want to come. And one of the best things, like what you and Glenn did, you came down here, you got your feet on the ground, and you walk, and we went and we saw it, you saw it with your own eyes. And that is extremely important, because if you guys hadn't done that, well, I mean, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing now, but look, now it's a reality for you guys. You guys are going to be here. So, when you come down here and do that, one of the things that we do that's unique in Panama is a healthcare relocation tour, which really is, we take you to meet the doctors, the specialists, to visit the hospitals that you're going to need to manage your healthcare when you live here. Because it's not, you can't just move here, get here, and say, okay, now I need to find a doctor. Or now I need health insurance. We get all of that stuff set up before you even make the final decision. We can have all that set. So when you do, you just call me and say, Mike, we're coming. And I'm like, well, we're already set. I got your, let me know, give me the date you get here. And I got a meeting with your general physician all ready for you. So, those are things that value that we provide that I think people really like, because it's like, it just helps with that process so much.
That's good, Mike. And now you skipped over the part I really wanted you to share. The doctors come to your house.
Oh yeah. So
the house visits.
I can't believe I forgot to mention that. But yeah, so it's the meeting your doctors, but yes, the concierge aspect of it. So, I consider what we provide here like concierge style health services. Our doctors go to you. So when you're living here in Panama and you need a doctor, we can send doctors to you. And we do a lot, also video call consultations. So you can get on a video call. You don't always have to physically be with your doctor for certain things. But these are concepts that in the United States, to get that, it costs a huge amount of money, right? I mean, to have a doctor go to you, if you could even get that, is going to be very expensive. So it's not really realistic, you might as well just go to the doctor office. But here, the prices are extremely accessible, and I can get these set up. So we set these up same day. If you need to see a doctor at your house, I will have a doctor there today. If you need to see a specialist, I will get you in to see a specialist today or tomorrow. There are certain specialists that are a little bit more like specialized and in demand, so it might take a few days, right? But usually it's like right away. So those are differences. If we're comparing the United States and Panama, things like that. When you get here, and you start experiencing that, it's just like, I can't even believe that this is possible when you're used to how things are done in the United States. You can't even believe that that can be done. And so I'm grateful that I'm in a position to be able to provide that for people.
So speaking of that, Mike, you are a true serial entrepreneur. You do it all. You do private tours. You own a health clinic. You do the health tours. You also do the relocation tours. Tell people how they can get in touch with you, where they can find you, and share any last words that you have for the people.
Yeah. So, relocation tours, I also do private relocation tours and real estate tours. So, going back when I got into relocation, helping people move to Panama was around that time of the pandemic. And so, for the last 3.5, 4 years, I've been doing private relocation tours of Panama City and the surrounding beach areas, which I did for you and Glenn, and so that is, where, you just, of course, healthcare is important, but finding a place to live. If you're moving, as you know, Cherie, we're in the process right now of finding a place to live. So I help with that. So one of the things that I do in my private relocation tours is help you find a place to live. Usually it's renting for a period of time. Some people are looking to buy. So either one, I can help with that. And so I work with a licensed real estate broker here in Panama for that. And it's comprehensive. If you need help finding an immigration attorney, I know immigration attorneys that are highly regarded here. So I can make that introduction, and of course the healthcare piece. But, the idea is, what I do is I try to give you the best idea possible of what it's like to live here. Like if you're here, like, okay, what's it going to be like? If I could give you that experience in 2 days, I'm going to, take you all around, show you the neighborhoods, take you to, everything from, seeing the different neighborhoods to seeing like the not so nice areas of Panama, you have the nice areas and the not so nice areas of the city, to, you know, going, you know, for lunch on a rooftop in Casco Viejo and experiencing that, whatever it might be. It's a full comprehensive, just, this is what life is in Panama. And I guess I did a good job because you guys are going to be moving down here.
Yeah, I think you did a very good job. So, guys, I want to recommend to you guys, if you are interested in learning more about Panama, whether to relocate there or you just want to go and do a tour, definitely contact Mike. He's a wealth of information. He's a great guy. And so you can reach him at expathealthservices.com. His link is at the top of the room here on Clubhouse. We'll get it up on the other platforms as well. Mike, it's been a pleasure having you here on the podcast. Want to ask you to hang tight because we're going to do some Q&A afterwards with the people that are here in the room. But as always, want to welcome you guys. Thank you guys for joining us today for We All Need Some Help Wednesday, the podcast. I'm Cherie A. Brooks Jr., filling in for Glenn P. Brooks Jr., and we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, Cherie.
All right.
Great to be here.
That's a wrap, James. And let's go back. All right, guys. Anybody got any questions, comments, anything for Mike? Come on up. Go ahead, Christine, and then Rocky.
This was amazing. Now I want to move to Panama. We actually are going to be visiting Glen and Cherie once they get settled, my husband and I. But thank you for sharing that experience. And when I think about mindset, you are not just using your mindset to shift, you know, how you live, but you're helping other people change their mindset. And one thing about entrepreneurs and about leaders, sometimes we can just think about ourselves and only us. But what you are doing is you are taking people, when you take them on those tours, you're taking them on a journey on what could be for them, and you're helping to open their minds. And I love that. Here in the States, it's such, unfortunately, a lot of people have those closed or fixed mindsets where they only can do one thing.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, it was always, you know, graduate from high school, go to college, get a government job, and just be, right? Work that 9 to 5 and just be. But when you decide to do something different, no matter what other people say, and that's the thing, when you have that limitless mindset, you don't care what other people's thoughts are. You're just going to go do a thing. And I love how you're showing people to expand their mind. I'll yield. Thank you for coming on our show today. Thank you.
No, it was my pleasure.
Go ahead, Rocky.
Yeah, no, this was super good. Like, and I love that we know what you're doing for Coach Glenn and Cherie. I have a question for you. For you doing what you're doing now, I know it's because you live in Panama and you help other people as well. What about other countries? And the reason why I ask is because there's people out here, especially as military folks. I went to Okinawa, Japan. I want to live in Okinawa, Japan, but we don't have that service over there where they kindly escort us in, and it's kind of like get in there, figure it out. There's a SOFA agreement. So even if I wanted to do that, there's no way for me to, you know, find someone on that side to help me out unless it was somebody that's still there from, you know, my past in the military. So if it's not you and you're not expanding, of course, where would we go to look for somebody that would do that?
Mike, come off mute. You got to unmute yourself. Sorry.
Okay, am I muted? That's a great question. You know, and it's, I don't know, you know, as far as other countries go, you know, so a lot of countries don't, you can't find this kind of service. You know, I know that. You know, I've been looking, you know, I have, you know, I work with people in Costa Rica, for example, and, you know, we talk about, you know, the opportunities there in helping people relocate. But it's really just, you know, I think it just depends on where you want to go. You want to go to Japan, you know, maybe I should go to Japan and see if I can help start something over there.
That's what I was saying. I was like, this is a whole niche.
Yeah, I'm seeing an opportunity there, but yeah, it really depends on the country. Like, you know, I know, like, for example, I just, you know, talking about Costa Rica, here you can do tours across the country. You know, you can get in a bus and do a tour across the country. Well, they'll, you know, stop at each place and tell you about it. And in Costa Rica, there's nothing like that, you know, but, you know, you can meet up with people that in Costa Rica, you know, that give you a lot of information and will take you, to different places. So it really just depends. You have to kind of look into each place that you're interested in. Right now, the hot, for Americans, like the top countries that people are looking at to move to are Panama, Portugal, and Ecuador is another big one. Like those are like the 3 top countries, So, it just depends. Like most people end up in Panama actually, just because of how close it is to the United States. They use the US dollar. There are a lot of really good reasons to move to Panama. So if you want to come down and take a look, just let me know.
I don't know.
Rocky, you're not sending him to Japan, but I did have
so nice, Sheree.
I did have a suggestion. I know when I first started doing my research, I did a lot of research on YouTube and found communities on Facebook. And so that might be somewhere you can look and see if there are any communities of expats in Japan and connect with people that way, because that's how I originally found Mike, was through a community I was in online. And that's how I was able to connect with him initially. We have a question in the comment for you, Mike, and you can answer this. A question is, what about learning the language and the language barrier?
Yes. Learning the language, I think it's important to learn the language because that improves your experience. So that does not mean that to move to Panama, you have to speak Spanish. Plenty of people don't speak Spanish and live here. It's not knowing Spanish is not a hindrance to moving here. A lot of the Panamanians speak English and you have a big expat population as well. But it just improves the experience, right? If you can go out and, go shopping and speak Spanish, speak the language, it adds to the experience, So, and it's a great opportunity to learn. And when you live here, you can move down here without speaking a word of Spanish. And that just adds to the experience of you and the fun of learning, right? So you're going to go to the local farmer's market and you're going to have to speak Spanish in some cases but that's what better way to learn, right? Than to be out, to go in and, really be immersed in it. But, it's as far as like having to know it, it's not necessary. It's not a requirement to move here. That's one of the nice things about Panama. But you definitely will pick up quite a bit when you're here. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I'll chime in on that. And I appreciate Mike's being nice. No, it's not required that you need to learn Spanish before going there. But I think that because it is a Spanish speaking country, and just to be able to truly immerse yourself in the culture, definitely picking up Spanish. We're learning it. I'm not fluent, nowhere near it yet. I pray that I will become fluent. But there are a lot of situations, and this I'll say about the Panamanian people, they are so kind and so patient with you when you don't speak Spanish. But if you try, they help you, because I can't remember. It was something I kept saying, and it turned out I was asking them for a kiss. I don't know what I was saying, but I was saying something wrong. But they would just laugh at me and then be like, "No." But they're very patient with you. But try to learn the language. If you go to any country, if they speak another language, try to learn the language so that you can truly immerse yourself in that culture. And I think that's beneficial for you, for your experience, like Mike said, and also just to be, really be immersed into the culture. Anybody else? Any questions, comments? Anybody else? Let's see. Do we have any comments in the chat?
Sheree, do you mind if I add to what you said? Because on my birthday, we went to Puerto Rico for like a week. And although I know very slight Spanish, you can miss out on a lot of things if you don't speak the language. Like some of the areas we went to, it was just Spanish. Like we went horseback riding and it was a whole thing for us to try to work through. So it is great advantage, at least to know the basics. Same thing when I was in Japan, I had to at least know the basics of ordering food and stuff like that, because not all areas are, bilingual and they speak both.
Yeah, I just think if I can add to that, I mean, it's it's not a requirement, but if you don't, it will present some challenges that you're going to have to overcome. And sometimes that can cause like frustration, right? You get to in certain situations and you find that you can't communicate with people. So that can, a lot of people get frustrated, and that's one of those things that, over time you overcome, but especially in the beginning, it can be a little bit overwhelming. Not that is that that's how you learn. I mean, when I learned, when I moved to Costa Rica when I was 19, I was there, I didn't speak Spanish, but I had to, in order to be able to move around and I really had to learn. And so when I was in situations where I would have to Spanish, and I did say, and I'm struggling with it, looking up, saying the wrong thing, people laugh, in a friendly way, of course. But that's when things, when you're out in real life, it's one thing to just do online courses and things like that, but we're like really living it. That's when brain kicks in and you really learn the language. So when you're here with your feet on the ground, you'll pick it up for sure.
Well, Mike, I want to thank you again for getting up so early and joining us today, because I know it's early there. I want to thank you for joining us. And I just want to remind everybody, as we've been talking today, I know we talked about Panama a lot, but this has really been about adaptability, being willing and able to make the changes that you need to in your business, in your life, and looking at obstacles as opportunities and not allowing those to shut you down and for you not to move forward. Mike has been a great example of what that looks like to pick up and move to another country. We're following suit, but whether it's you're relocating somewhere, whether it's you starting a new business, you starting a new division of your business, or doing something new, going back to school, whatever it may be, don't allow those opportunities, the fear, the naysayers, quote unquote, to stop you from pursuing something that you feel passionately about doing. I always say, what's the worst thing that can happen? Even with us moving to Panama, I've had to sit down with my family and talk to them. And it's like, well, what if y'all get there and y'all don't like it? Guess what? I can pack up and move back. I'm not being exiled to the end of the earth.
Sherry, could I add one thing?
Yes.
Just touching on that, like, it's getting out of your comfort zone. I talked to Glenn about this yesterday, but I think it really is worth mentioning that what you guys are doing requires to get out of your comfort zone, like way out, right? And that's why most people don't understand like why you're doing what you're doing, because most people don't want to get out of there. They want to do, most people want to stay within their comfort zone, and that's totally normal, right? But if you can get out of your comfort zone, then you can have these new experiences. So, with you guys and like a lot of other people that have helped move here, it's the common theme. The common theme is like everyone always says that their friends can't believe that they're doing this, and it's, they're like, and then of course it's, I can't believe you're moving to Panama. And why Panama? Like, isn't Panama just the jungle? So people don't know what Panama is, and then they can't understand how you could just do that. So it's really like, it goes back to the mindset. But to be able to do what you're doing, you have to be able to get out of your comfort zone. And you guys have done that, and you're going to see that it's definitely going to be worth it.
So as Mike said, get out of your comfort zone, guys. Christine, you got any closing words for us?
I just love, I could go another hour in this conversation, getting out of your comfort zone. But the reality is people that live here in the States, that's their mindset, is that they're comfortable with where they are. People don't want to change. And whether you're learning a new language or going to a new job or jumping out from your 9-to-5 and doing an entrepreneurial chip, it's more about, you care about what other people think. And I love that Glenn and Cherie don't care about what other people think and in their thoughts. And even you, Mike, and moving at 19, you're like, okay, I'm going to do this no matter what. So just get out of your comfort zone and go do the daggone thing. Just go do it.
Exactly. That's it.
All right, guys, I don't have the music, so I can't play music, but we're going to go ahead and shut. You get music, Rocky? You going to give us some music so that we can
No,
close
I had
out?
a final thought.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rocky.
You don't want to hear my music. It's
No.
it's not bootstrapping. No, I was just gonna say, what I invite everyone to do is please get out of the United States. The world is completely different. I know when I've been to Japan, Germany, and Korea. When I went over there and I came back to the United States, I was like, man, we are rude. Like, we don't have patience. We don't have anything. So even if you're like kind of thinking about it, get out and travel outside of the United States, see how everybody else live. And I'm with Cherie. I was the one that was like, what are y'all doing? But then when Cherie said it was peaceful, I was like, I can see that, because it was great when I was traveling as well. So get out of the United States. There's more than just this, and you will not have a closed mindset anymore.
That's true. The world is a huge place. Get out and explore. Go visit some place different. So we are going to go ahead and wrap up. I can't say when the music ends, but
Wait, Cherie.
Oh,
I do
gosh.
have Glenn's playlist. I'm sorry. I have the playlist. He sent it to me
Okay.
a while ago.
Nice.
I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. Just let me.
Okay. Hold on. All right. Hold on, guys. Hold on.
Distract them.
Hold on. Christine, you got anything?
So just stay tuned. Tomorrow, do you have another episode on YouTube, Cherie? Are you guys airing another episode?
Yes, we will be. A
Yes.
premiere will be posted tomorrow on YouTube on our Living Liberated channel on YouTube. So go to @Glenn P. Brooks Jr. to catch the latest episode of Living Liberated with the Brooks.
All right. I'm hanging my head in shame.
Okay, so with that, we are going to go ahead and close out. It's
I can't play the
been
music.
great
This is
being with
horrible.
you guys today. And as always, at the end of the day, on the count of 3, everybody on stage, we all
We
need some help. We really need some help.
And we need Glenn.
And we need
Coach
Glenn.
Glenn is gonna. Oh, we're gonna hear this later. You
All right, guys. See you guys tomorrow. Enjoy. Have a great day. At the count of 3, James, we'll go ahead and close out. 3, 2, 1.